Hey you guys, it's Summer. Today's video, I am going to do my first time tag. I was tagged by Cassie from Shades of Cassie quite a while ago. I completely spaced it and decided I'll do it right now. So I have the questions down in front of me on my laptop and I'm just gonna read the question and tell you the answer. First question, do I still talk to my first love? No. Jimmy would not be okay with that. And to tell you the truth, I don't even know who my first love was. Like, I don't have a one first love, you know? Like, I had people I thought I loved that wasn't really love or healthy love. So I feel like if they're in your past, they need to stay in your past. Having them in your life will only cause problems. So no, I am not talking to any of my previous loves. I am only talking to the love of my life, which is my husband, and that's the way it should be. What was my first job? My first job, surprise, surprise, was McDonald's. And this is because I was living with my dad. I was 15, he wanted me to get a job, and I wasn't old enough to get a job. So I figured McDonald's was a good place to start, and I thought working the register and like talking to people all day would be fun. And so I lied about my age. I don't think my dad encouraged that, but I don't know how that happened. Somehow I lied about my age. I got the job, and about a month later, I was still in the back, which was greasy and gross. Apparently you have to work your way up to the front, which I didn't know. Yeah, so I was still in the back when somebody from school showed up and ratted me out that I wasn't 16, and I got let go from McDonald's. Sad. My first car was, it's not like I'm a teenage boy right now. My first car was a blue Volvo, and I think my dad bought it for $150. It had no muffler, and in order to get the heater to work, you had to bypass the radio. So I lived in Washington State, you kind of need a heater in your car. So we bypassed the radio, but that's okay, because you know what? I had a boom box. You know this little, yeah. I had that in my car, and I would blast that with my Wilson Phillips cassette tapes, and I was so ghetto, but I loved that car. And I mean, you could take the stick off, it was a stick shift, and see through to the ground. That's just how beat up this car was, and yet I thought it was so cool. I wrecked it like shortly after I got it, but that's a good story. Who was the first person to text me today? Let me see. Oh, you know what? It was Trisha from A Glittery Life. And she sent me a text because we did a collab together, and she was letting me know that hers was ready. And so she was my first text of the day. I was surprised that she was up so early. Who was the first person you thought of this morning? You know, I think the first people I thought of this morning were my kids, because I had to wake up early this morning and get them ready for school. Today is their one day of school this week, so my first thought was, are my kids already dressed? I just immediately went into mom mode. So they were the first people I thought of. Who was my first grade teacher? I am such a genius that I skipped first grade. It's a true story. Not a true story that I'm a genius, but I did skip first grade. I went to a private school in kindergarten, and then my parents switched us to a public school for first grade. So the things that they were teaching in the public school at first grade, I had already learned in kindergarten, so they went ahead and bumped me up to second grade, and that's that. So I never had a first grade teacher. I wonder why they asked about first grade. That's weird. Where did you go on your first ride on an airplane? My first ride on an airplane was to San Diego, California when I was probably 10, 11, somewhere in there. I flew by myself, and I got to come and visit my aunt and my cousins who live down here, and that was the moment I knew that I was going to leave the Pacific Northwest and move to San Diego one day. that was it. I came here and I was like, this is heaven. And now I live here. It's amazing. Who was your first best friend and do you still talk? My first best friend was Janica, and she was my best friend in kindergarten. First, second, third grade, we kind of went to elementary school together, and we still keep in touch on Facebook. That's why you gotta love Facebook, because people just get to stay in your life forever, the ones that you want, and I want her in my life. So yeah, I loved her. I still love her. She's great. Where was my first sleepover? I'm gonna guess it was probably at Janica's house because she was my best friend in kindergarten, and I don't remember having sleepovers before that. So first sleepover was with Janica. Not very exciting answer for that one. Not that none of these may be exciting for you. Who was the first person you talked to today? That would be my kids. I called down to see if they were ready for school. I had them come up, got them dressed, so they're usually always the first people I talk to every day. Whose wedding was I in for the first time? I was in, I don't remember whose wedding I was in for the first time. I sang as a little girl in someone's wedding. My uncle married a friend of ours and a family friend, and I think I sang in their wedding, I Have My Hopes Set High by Amy Grant. So does that count? I would like to see that video. Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine what I sounded like. What was the first thing I did this morning? I checked my phone, which is the first thing I do every morning and should be the absolute opposite of the first thing I do every morning. I need to break that habit. But that was the first thing. I always reach and grab my phone. I check my emails, I check my text messages, see what's ahead of me for the day, and that's that. The first concert I ever went to was probably a Jesus Northwest concert where you go and you camp out for the weekend and you get to see all these Christian bands. And I don't know, maybe it was DC Talk. I still have DC Talk on my iTunes. They're just special. First broken bone, I've never broken a bone. First piercing were my ears. I think I had to be 13 before I got my ears pierced. The first foreign country I've ever been to was Mexico. I went to Querétaro, Mexico for a missions trip, and it was amazing, and I got the bug, and I wanted to be a missionary, and I still have that bug. I love it. First movie I remember seeing was The Never-Ending Story. That was in the movie theater. It's the first time I saw a movie in the movie theater, and I remember hearing the name because I was a little kid, but I heard the name and I'm like, is it a never-ending story? But it ended, so in case you haven't seen it, it does have an ending. My first roommate was, I think my first roommate was a girl named Karen when I moved to San Diego. When I moved out after high school in Washington, I lived alone. None of my friends were moving out yet. But when I moved to San Diego, I couldn't afford to live by myself. So I met a girl I worked with at Red Robin. Her name was Karen, and we're still friends today on Facebook. We're friends on Facebook. My first detention was probably in junior high when I started to think I was a little rebel and needed to hang out with a bad crowd, and I think I got in trouble for something, got detention, but I hated getting in trouble, so I think I only had detention one time before I was like, that didn't feel very good. The first lessons I ever took were tennis lessons. I took tennis when I was in junior high, and then I took it again as an adult, and I still don't play very well. And who was the first person beauty related on YouTube that I ever watched? And I think it was Candy Johnson. Oh no, it was Makeup by Tiffany D. My sister actually found her and sent me a link and said, oh my gosh, you have to watch her. She's so cute. She has the cutest makeup tutorials. And it's because of her, I think, that a lot of us are on YouTube and watch videos. So thanks, Tiffany. So yeah, so that's my first time, and I tag all of you guys to do this if you haven't already. I hope you guys are all doing well. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys later. Bye!